Good evening and welcome back to the Turnstile. My name's Harry. I'm an Arsenal season ticket holder, and this is my review of what I saw over the weekend. So, huge game for Arsenal this weekend. We're at home to Brentford, coming off of a disappointing defeat over at Everton. There was a lot of fans that I was speaking to that were saying sort of easy, quite confident, 3-4 nil Arsenal. But for myself, there was a lot of pre-game nerves. We've seen in the past Arsenal get themselves into great positions. I said it last week. We come up against weaker opposition and then we start to tail off. And it always happens around the same sort of time. There's a part of me that is scared it's going to happen again this year. It's almost been delayed by that World Cup being in the middle. So although we are mid February, in reality, on a normal Premier League season, we're going to be looking at sort of the start to mid Jan. And that's where we have seen us fall off in the past. Brentford, they're no mugs. Obviously, they've beaten City, Liverpool, United. They've drawn to Spurs and Chelsea. They've not lost a game since October. So at the end of the day, it's tough opposition that's coming to the Emirates. There was part of me that was thinking, though, this place is a fortress now. Nobody comes here and turns us over. So it was 50-50 for me in my head. I think the main concern was obviously everybody looking over the game, looking towards that game on Wednesday night against Man City, which is absolutely huge. Winning this would have kept that barrier there, kept us at 5 points, which is, I believe, is what we needed. But looking at the statistics, obviously Brentford, they have the highest conversion of set pieces in the whole Premier League. Before the weekend, it was 14, obviously with the one at Arsenal as well, that knocks that right up to 15. And looking at the way that we've defended set pieces recently, conceding against Everton, against United from a set piece, there was a part of me that thought they might be able to get at us here. I think overall we started the game much stronger than we did last week. I thought Thomas Partey looked brilliant, really working hard in midfield, winning the ball back, showing physicality. I think the lack of aerial ability of some of our midfield was really exposed at times. A lot of second balls being knocked up high, brought down by Brentford players. I think that might be a small area for concern there. In terms of performances, I thought the team played well as a whole. I did highlight again last week Martinelli, one of my favourite Arsenal players, but I think he is really, really struggling at the moment. I don't know whether it's down to exhaustion, whether he's just lacking a little bit of confidence, but he looks like he doesn't really know what to do when he's on the ball. He almost bursts down the wing. He doesn't know whether to take him on, cut back, cross it in. He just looks a little bit confused. And I think that was really highlighted again when Trossard came on. I thought he looked really lively. He's got really quick feet, works good in tight areas. Great finish for the goal as well. I mean, Saka knocked it across that goal really fast. It looked like an easy tap-in, but it could have easily gone wrong. I thought that he was a great introduction. And to be honest with you, looking at the City game, I would look at starting him on Wednesday. I think he would really bring some confidence into that front line. We haven't scored the most amount of goals recently, so putting him in there, I reckon, gives you a little bit of an edge. And then having Martinelli as that impact sub, say 60, 70 minutes, bring on the pace and really attack down that side. I think that Gabriel Jesus, we're starting to miss him. I've probably been one of the harsher critics on Eddie Nketiah, who really did start to prove me wrong. He's really bulked up his game. He's improved on what he's doing last year, but I think once he lacks the supply, he doesn't have that ability to sort of come much deeper and start working in those pockets that Jesus would. He's very much a fox in the box. He's a goal poacher, and he's brilliant at it. But I think against a team like Brentford, who had set up solid at the back, someone like Jesus could have just helped pick that lock a little bit more. And I think once he comes back, it's going to be like a brand new signing. I feel like I'm being harsh on Eddie Nketiah there because he has been brilliant for us. I don't think that he is a first team player. And again, sounds really harsh. I think when you look back at teams that have won the league, say City, for example, when they had Edin Dzeko, not the best striker in the world. However, he is going to get you 5 to 10 goals a season. And it's players like that that will win you a Premier League. I thought Ivan Toney had a brilliant game. He was giving Saliba a torrid time, pulling him apart, dragging him out of position, physical with him, winning duels in the air. The only criticism I would have for Ivan Toney is that he could have had a hat-trick but didn't. But at the end of the day, being an Arsenal fan, that's amazing for us. I think the main talking point of this game is going to be the VAR decision. An absolute disgrace from Lee Mason. We go on about how the Premier League is the best league in the world. We've got the most money coming in. We're attracting the best players. We can't referee football games. We're terrible at it. And the problem is that they all hide under each other. They create excuses for each other. They defend their decisions. There's no point in Peter Walton ever commenting on any decision. Very, very rarely, unless it's completely obvious, he will always just side on the referee. They'll try and find any wording that they can to back the decisions that they make. There's no intention to sort of go out there, look at what they've done wrong and then improve it. It's just excuse after excuse after excuse. When you look at the Premier League table last season, Liverpool missed out on the Premier League by a point. City won by 1 point. That decision, because somebody decided not to do their job, is title deciding. Last year, those 2 points would have won you a title, but somebody didn't draw the lines on an offside decision. It seems ridiculous. Obviously, Lee Mason, he's got previous with it. We saw what he did with Brighton and West Brom a couple of years ago, where he's blown the whistle, allows someone to take the free kick, he's pulling it back. We saw what he did again with Martinelli's goal earlier in the season against Man United, disallowing the goal, and then months later, they're coming out and saying the goal should have stood. Absolutely ridiculous. And there's no point in an apology. I don't really know what to say in terms of what I want to happen. Obviously, I don't want Lee Mason running VAR because he's clearly not fit to do the job. You have one job to do. I've seen the analogy online. It's like have postmen forgetting to deliver the letters. It's just ridiculous. So I hope that the action is taken. Like I said, they can't give us any points for it. All they can do is apologise, but they need to be clamping down on decisions like this. You can't be allowing this to stand. If you're not fit, you can't do the job. End of. It's huge now for the game at the weekend. Obviously, we've got Man City at home, which is probably going to be one of the biggest home games for about 20 years. It's almost title deciding. For myself, I think a draw would be a good result for us. At the end of the day, as long as we don't lose twice to Manchester City, then we can keep the barrier there with our game in hand. So looking at the table now, obviously, we are 3 points ahead currently. Wednesday's massive. They could draw level. We would still have a game in hand, but they have that chance to go top on goal difference. Wednesday, we could come off the top of the table for the first time in a long time, and that is scary. I think in terms of the game that's coming up, in terms of the lineup, I think it almost picks itself. You would go with Ramsdale, Ben White, Saliba, Gabriel, Zinchenko. I think Zinchenko did have a little bit of a wobbly game against Brentford, gave the ball away a few times. I think the way that he comes into that midfield area just allows us to be more dynamic, which will work massively in a game of expansive football against Man City. Obviously, you've got Partey, Xhaka, Ødegaard. The only change I would make would be Martinelli for Trossard. So you'd have Trossard, Nketiah, and Saka. So, huge week coming up. Hopefully that we get the results that we need and we stay top of the Premier League. But everything is to play for right now. Wednesday, what I'll do is I will keep you updated with what I've seen at the game, and any likes, comments, subscribes that you can give goes a huge way. Thank you very much for your time, and thanks for listening.